All this dancing is making me sweaty.
Hey, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know, this is the only podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific, and they call me Chris of the Northwest. We're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're grabbing 3 coats to adjust to the changing weather, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
'Tis the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, yes. Welcome to Thursday night. Tonight we're talking with Marcellus, special guest. Thanks for joining us. He's the author of the blog Geocaching While Black. Live audience, tell us what you want to talk about. Post some comments, interact with us, interact with each other. We know you do. And as you might notice, we're at a monkey-free zone tonight. So we're just going to jump right into a quick reminder that we appreciate the support of our patrons who help keep this podcast coming each and every week. Special thanks to Land Sharks. They are one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. Did you know Land Sharks is having their second annual inventory reduction sale? What's going on? It's 20% off on many items. There's a free trackable gift tag with every $25 spent online or even in the store. You can shop in person or online.
Ooh.
You can check it all out. Find the details, browser inventory, everything at landsharkswithaz.ca. And our other corporate and all level sponsor, well, that would be Gold Country Geotourism. You can visit exploregoldcountry.com to learn more about the Geotour and the whole Gold Country region. Don't forget, they have an app. Go download the app. Check it out. Facebook.com/exploregoldcountry, and I think it's also at exploregoldcountry.com. If you want to know more about supporting this humble little Thursday night podcast, why don't you go over and click that Patreon link on the cachingnw.com, a website.
Thank you so much. You do that so well. Tonight, if you want to join in the conversation, and folks, you always do each and every week, I thank you so much for your input that makes this much more of a conversation rather than just a monologue. Us talking to you, you get to talk back to us. That might not have been the right way to say that. You get to communicate with us. Use the hashtag GWB tonight, GWB. In the chat to add to tonight's show. And of course, you can use the hashtag FTAS. That's FTAS, or for the after show. You see how clever we are? Use the hashtag FTAS to bring up something in the after show, and we will do our best to talk about it, well, in the after show. I know it kind of buried the lead there with that, but you'll figure it out.
FTAS isn't quite a TLA that you like so much, though.
Well, it's an FLA,
yeah.
And it's not quite the same.
Actually, have you considered changing the name of it to, Caching in the Northwest Nights?
Mm.
Ooh. Oh, I might like that. Caching in the Northwest after dark. But, that could be 3:30 in the afternoon in, January. So
yeah, in the middle of winter, sure.
Fair enough.
Hey, we have got a whole pile of news. And some of it's not good. Things are falling, things are failing, but, we'll talk about this. So first of all, if you've had any trouble getting the podcast via Apple Podcast, well, that's not your fault. That's not my fault. That's all on Apple's fault. They've had a bug that's prevented listeners from getting and enjoying new episodes. Recent glitch in the Apple Podcast apps causing some issues with showing new episodes and automatic downloads. So if it isn't working, you can go and manually download those episodes you're missing, or you can listen online, you can listen live, you can listen wherever you want to. But just know that if suddenly it's not there, it's not something you did. It's not something I did. It's Apple, and they don't like you. Okay.
Can you do it at a trot? Can you do it at a gallop?
Do it so your heart don't palpitate.
Do it real slow so your heart don't
Oh,
palpitate.
do it real slow. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah. I got the palpitate. Is that's the only thing that rhymes with Puyallup.
Yeah.
And it doesn't rhyme. The beginning of it rhymes.
Poetic license.
Yeah. Okay. The next news story. The European Space Agency. That's over there across the pond.
Yerp.
Yep. The USA or ESA.
Okay.
European
The
Space
ESA,
Agency.
not the Europeans.
No, not the Europeans.
I'm gonna call them the Europeans.
Okay. I like that. They had a satellite, ERS-2, that was scheduled to re-enter. Let me check the date. Yeah, that was yesterday. I got an alert on my phone that says, warning, space debris. Now, I've never seen an alert like that on my phone before, and I had to go read the story.
Yeah.
So the uncontrolled or natural re-entry window passed with no confirmation of the satellite's re-entry. Now, ERS-2 was ESA's. I know there's a lot of TLAs going on here. The European Space Agency's second European remote sensing satellite. It was launched April 21st, 1995. And the satellite had a 16-year career observing Earth until it retired in 2011. Now,
So it's been up there a while after retirement.
Exactly. We're talking 30 years for this satellite, right? Launched in 95, coming down in 2004. So now the vast majority of the satellite will burn up, and any pieces that survive will be spread out somewhat randomly over a ground track, on average hundreds of kilometers long. Now, this ground track, this is what interested me, started out in the Pacific, but it came up the Washington coast. So,
okay.
And only tens of kilometers wide.
Sure. A long, narrow path.
Yeah. So the risks are very, very low. But this is things falling. Now, we estimate that the largest fragment of the satellite that could reach the ground is 115 pounds. That's 52 kilograms for you folks up north.
I wouldn't want to be hit with anything from falling that was 115 pounds.
No. Now, let me tell you something. This will ease your mind, okay?
Do tell.
The odds of a piece of satellite falling on someone's head is estimated to be 1 in a billion.
Oh, okay.
And when you consider that 71% of the Earth's surface is water, odds are likely that a satellite will make the splash somewhere. There you go. What do you think of that?
GSM times 2 says it's the European edition of rapid unscheduled disassembly.
Yes. It wasn't unscheduled.
It was just uncontrolled.
Right.
More importantly, the ESA was trying not to hit Australia, because if they had landed on Australia would have, given them a ticket for littering. I'm not even kidding either.
But drop it in the ocean, nobody's going to complain, right?
It's beyond the environment there. It's not like, in the environment.
What's the Little Mermaid going to do? Come up and get angry?
And what? And show that she exists? No, she'll never do that. Here's another tidbit that I found very interesting. On average, an object of similar mass re-enters the Earth's atmosphere every week or two. I had no idea.
That's quite frequent, actually.
Keith says, oops, where'd it go?
It's raining junk. Hallelujah. It's
Keith
raining
says,
junk.
It's hit by a satellite, buys a lottery ticket.
There you go. I love that the story opened up in truly government fashion when it says that the re-entry window passed with no confirmation of the satellite's re-entry. You could just hear the government. We can neither confirm nor deny that the satellite has re-entered the atmosphere.
The satellite has not re-entered the atmosphere. We have failed successfully.
Yes.
CRS-98 with 7.5 billion people on Earth. Does that mean 7.5 people are expected to get hit?
Sure.
Just
numerically, I suppose that works, right?
I hope you weren't boating yesterday.
Yeah.
Let's just say Redmond is covering their heads, hoping that nothing comes down.
I know we've got so much to talk about, but thoughts keep coming into my head, and sometimes they're disturbing, but I like that the vast majority of the satellite will burn up, and pieces that survive are expected to be spread out randomly. That sounds like a incident on the Oregon coast with a large whale.
When the blasted blubber beyond all believable bounds.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough dynamite, you're not doing it right.
That's right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, in other news, we move on from the exploding and crashing bits. We're counting down to the 25th year of geocaching in, oddly enough, 2025.
What are the odds?
Right? When you started in a 0 year, hey, even though the 20th anniversary was 2 years. Anyway, we won't go there. As geocaching counts that down, community is planned to be a huge part of the celebration because, well, geocaching, it's all about Altoid tins in the brush.
Or stuff.
No, actually, it's all about people because, if an Altoid tin is in the forest and nobody finds it, is it really there?
Does it rust?
Hard to say. Geocaching.com is excited to share that community celebration events will return in 2025. Yeah, there were some good ones with the last time they had the community celebration events. That was a lot of fun. To qualify for a community celebration event, which in the spirit of the evening with TLAs, it's the CCE, don't you know? Geocachers, you must have at least one cache published between January 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2024. That's this year that we're in right now. And note that events and adventures do not qualify.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So you can't host an event. You can host an event. Please do. You can hide adventure labs. Go for it. They're fun. They're great. But they won't qualify you to be eligible for a CCE.
Which is ironic because you would think holding an event would be a perfect precursor to receiving a special event. But
Yeah.
hey, I just
Well,
work here.
So you must have at least one cache published, and you must host at least one event. And you must
Okay.
have created a geocaching account before the announcement date of 2 days ago. That's 20th of February, 2024.
Should have created a geocaching account, had a satellite hit your head, and now have a chance to win something.
In theory, yeah.
I'll ever check my account. It might not. I don't know if I've made it early enough. I'll look.
Yes.
Well, I'll check that out.
GSM times 2 says check, check,
Yeah.
check.
Yeah.
So he's all ready to receive his.
There you go.
So I don't know that guarantees you will receive one, but it at least makes you eligible to receive one. Geocaching HQ will distribute CCEs to all geocachers who meet the criteria. Oh, there you go. See, I should have read ahead. They will distribute anybody that meets the criteria. You will do one beginning July 1st, 2024. We will distribute up to 2025. That number rings a bell. CCEs each month, continuing until all qualifiers have received one. Additionally, they will distribute CCEs to all geocaching community volunteer reviewers, moderators, and translators. Each primary account hosting a mega event, giga event, or block party in 2025. Well, they're also going to get one. And you get a CCE, and you get a CCE.
I have already done one. Mine, I got to do it at the same place where the first event happened.
Oh, there you go.
The first event occurred here in Austin in a place called Schultz Beer Garden. So I actually did a community event, a community celebration, celebrating the first event. It was awesome.
You had me at Beer Garden.
Nice.
All right. So if you do receive one, you have to host it during the calendar year 2025, basically. Events must be a minimum of 2 hours, cannot overlap with events associated with a mega, giga, or a block party event, which, as we talked about in the prior episode, block parties are coming back in 2025, right?
Mm-hmm. So wow. I find it interesting. They're distributing 2025 CCEs per month until everybody gets one.
Right.
Hopefully it's more than 2 months.
Yeah.
24,000 and change. That's a lot of those.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And at least half of them will be in Germany.
Mhm.
Probably.
So it is interesting. So go place a geocache, go host an event, and then you qualify. As long
and go open an account last week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Get in the time machine.
Invent a time machine.
Go back in time.
That's right.
And prove to yourself you invented the time machine.
Yeah. Do that part.
Like, I think I saw that movie.
Okay. So, folks, you got Apple messing up. You've got satellites falling out of the earth. You've got HQ giving away events. And we want to give away something too, just in that spirit. Do you want a chance to win great prizes by helping us out? Here's how you can do it.
We do.
Positive reviews on podcast hosting platforms such as that first one, that Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and more, wherever you find and download Caching in the Northwest, helps us out enormously. I mean, the algorithms kick in when you do reviews, and it really does help.
It does indeed, yeah.
Now, we know that takes you time. That takes some effort and creativity on your part. So let us give you something for your effort. Leave a helpful review on the service where you download the podcast, then share a screenshot or link it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, whatever you want to call that, with the contest hashtag I love CNW. And maybe, why not? A little bit of why you love CNW can't hurt, right? And do that, you're automatically entered. Prizes? Yes, sir. You could win some from Land Sharks and Tony's Coffee. Who doesn't love coffee? You?
Actually, I'm more of a tea person.
Okay, Tony's Coffee has tea. Check out the show each week for more information and some highlighted reviews. There you go. CRS98 just hit the like button.
Oh, great.
GSM times 2 says, I only watch it on YouTube. Does that count? There, he put in the hashtag.
Nice. I love CNW. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we do really appreciate those reviews. And remember that when you go to that Apple platform that doesn't work right and things break and they don't download, your positive review is about the show content, not the reliability of the platform that hosts it.
Good point.
That distributes it. So, yeah, we can't do
Caching in the Northwest is great, but these Apple guys, boy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all of the news that's fit to chat about here on Thursday night. So, without further ado, let's jump into our guest tonight. Marcellus, you've been patiently waiting, but actually you've been interacting. It's been fun to have you there.
I'm so chatty.
Why don't you take a minute to introduce yourself to our podcast listeners, hosts, guests, everybody, and if you could maybe share your caching name, where you hail from. I've heard a hint of that already. And how about what's your favorite geocache type?
Okay, well, my name is Marcellus Cad. I go by Atreides. I am the Central Texas representative of the Texas Geocaching Association. I am actually, I live in Austin, Texas, and I am better known as the author of Geocaching While Black. As for my favorite cache type, I am going to have to go Cherchez Simple. It's the good old-fashioned traditional, because there is something very simplistic and satisfying about pitting the Mark I brain and the Mark I eyeball against the Mark I cache. You go to a place, you find the thing. That is where that dopamine hit comes from. I mean, solving a puzzle is nice. Don't get me wrong. Figuring out a multi is nice. Virtuals have taken me to a lot of really interesting places. But when you pare it all down, get right down to the root, it is the good old-fashioned traditional.
Mm-hmm.
that you have to tease out and figure out. And that's whether it is a pill bottle in a lamppost skirt, or if it is some sort of, constructed building somewhere out in the middle of some crazy place 500 miles from civilization. For me, the traditional will always be in my heart. Or some kind of crap like that. I don't know. I just make this up as I go along.
Okay, there you go. Now, with that new Dune movie coming out here in just a couple of days, I bet everyone thinks your geocaching name is associated with that movie. But if I remember correctly, isn't it based on Greek history and mythology?
It is totally Greek mythology. So, just a moment to put on our scholarly hats here for those of you who are not ancient Greek scholars.
It was a warm summer evening.
There is a long naming convention in a lot of Greek literature where they will refer to someone by the name of their father with IDES at the end of it. So Achilles, the son of Peleus, is often referred to as Peliades. Odysseus, the son of Laertes, who was often referred to as Laertides. And so Agamemnon and Menelaus, both being the sons of Atreus, were often referred to as Atreides, sometimes singularly, sometimes collectively. Indeed.
Jedi Trash Panda.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
It's all Greek to me.
It is, in fact. And I've been using the name Atreides for years and years and years, like long before caching was even a twinkle in my eye. And so, and once I started using it, of course, everybody started, saying, oh yeah, it's a Dune thing, right? It's like, no, it's a Greek mythological thing. Except, well, I really do like Frank Herbert. And, the Atreides actually, claim descent from the house of Atreus. So, yeah, sure, I'll go with that. Whatever. Good enough. Dune thing? Yeah, whatever makes you happy.
I know nothing about Dune or Greek mythology. It just reminds me of Atreyu from the Neverending Story. So,
I mean, I wouldn't go that route because, I don't want to leave anybody crying watching a horse, sinking in a bog.
Right. It was a sad time. Yeah.
The death of Artax, just it crushed my soul. I think it's the first time I truly understood what it meant to be human.
Well, speaking of Dune, there is a Dune-related park right here in Tacoma because the author is from Tacoma.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading about that. And I didn't have time to hunt down any. I didn't have any time to hunt down any Herbert, centric, interesting stuff, which is the reason why this is funny to me is because I have a friend who is actually she has a master's in literature, and she focuses on sci-fi and especially Frank Herbert.
Okay.
And she moved about a year ago. She moved from here to Tacoma.
Well, of course she had to.
It's like, what are the odds? Actually, I don't even think she planned. She ended up moving in with a friend who happened to live in Tacoma. And I think it was just some sort of lucky synergy or something.
Well, speaking of moving, one of the first challenges that got you moving, I believe in geocaching, but maybe not, was the Texas challenge. You're from Texas.
I am.
That Texas challenge is something that I don't think Northwesterners quite understand. I've been to Texas. I have some relatives from Texas, and Texas is huge.
The Texas County Challenge is okay. So here's the thing: I've done the Washington County Challenge.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. I have some problems with that.
Oh yeah, and it's impressive enough as it is. You have to have at least smalls. for everything. Texas is totally cache agnostic. It doesn't matter what kind of cache you get, primarily because while Washington has 39 counties, Texas has 254.
Overachievers.
It requires somewhere on the order of about 10 to 12,000 miles worth of driving to do the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if you could do it all at one time, you could maybe lower it down to like about 9. But that is a lot of time going from place to place, sitting in a car, thinking about what you want to do and where you want to go. And also as a side to it, since it's cache agnostic, it doesn't matter what kind of cache. I've actually gotten some counties with some things that you wouldn't expect normally. So, like for instance, my cache for Galveston, which is in Galveston County, is a webcam.
Sure.
My cache for Denton in Denton County is actually an earth cache, because I usually go to the county courthouse. Well, I always go to the county courthouse when I go to get a new county. And so there is an earth cache at the Denton County Courthouse, which is based on the 5 or 6 different types of granite they use to build the courthouse. My official cache for Tarrant County, which is Fort Worth, is actually Geo Woodstock 17.
Nice.
Because if you're going to have it, you might as well make it a mega. Right. Why not?
Do Adventure Labs count? Have they updated the challenge to include that? No. And I very seriously doubt whether or not they will, because I get it's as far as I know, there's no real mechanism to be able to track them. That's true.
And the other thing is, and I'm not speaking ill of the keeper of the can or the group because there's a little group that kind of keeps the can. But I very seriously doubt that they would ever allow that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I almost forgot. Here's the other thing about the Texas County Challenge. So for a lot of places, if you go to, X place to sign the log, it's just a thing where you sign, Washington is like that. Nebraska's is kind of sad. It's just like a little key box on a park bench. Just you would expect something, no. For the Texas County Challenge, once you're done, you submit a list to the current keeper of the can. That's not his actual title. That's what I call him. And once you do that, he will bring the can to you or get it to you so you can sign it wherever you want. So there are a lot of people who, some people decide that they want to sign it in the last county they were in, or they want to sign it at this place that's special to them. A lot of people pick the Texas State Capitol, or here in Mount Bunnell, which is like the highest spot in Austin, but they will get that can to you so you can sign it where you want to sign it.
That makes sense after all the miles you put in that they come to you.
And then the other thing, and this is one thing I don't think anywhere else does this, but every year at Texas Challenge, the mega event that Texas holds every year, which is going to be March 17th, if memory serves. Oh, sorry, March 16th. Apologies.
A Friday?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Oh no, sorry, I'm in the wrong month. You're exactly right. I was in the wrong month.
Okay. Just making sure. I was
because of leap day.
Myself for a minute.
Leap day threw me off.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll do it. They every year after Challenge, we have the finishers reunion, and it is a special event where basically they bring out a big old map of Texas with all the counties on it. And traditionally, anybody who completed the challenge that year will sign the big board in the county that they finished.
Okay.
And then everyone else who completed it signs on the back.
Okay.
And so every year we all get together. We all have special blue T-shirts, with our caching name and and the number where we finished the challenge. I'm 228, and we all get together and we tell stories and we greet the new people and we, maybe have a few beers and discuss stuff and things. And it's a lovely time. And I am not aware of any other state that does that.
No, I think that is unusual and quite nice. So your get together, how large is it? Is it 5 people? Is it 125 people?
A lot of people come to challenge, so it's not uncommon for there to be like over 100 blue shirts there.
Okay.
That's
impressive.
And yeah. And it is. And of course, that isn't the only place where we wear our blue shirts. I mean, I was at the 20th anniversary, actually spoke at the 20th, and I was up there on stage with mine. There were probably 20 something people from Texas who went, some of which I knew, some of which I didn't. It was funny. At one point, me and a bunch of people were, we were having dinner after going caching, and I had to go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom and I pass by somebody who's got a blue shirt who I'd never met before. And I'm just like, nice shirt. And she's like, nice shirt too. And right there was that immediate connection.
Yep.
And then she came and joined us for a while because they were like, I was having dinner with like 6 other people who had also finished the Texas County Challenge. So it was our own little mini get together right there.
Love it. Love it. Just in case you want to know, Jedi Trash Panda says, on the other end of the spectrum, Delaware has 3 counties.
That's my kind of state.
Yeah. Rhode Island has 5.
Okay.
I have not done them.
Wow. I mean, that's just, wow. 5 counties.
Now, that being said, it's funny because I was in the Northeast with some people, which actually I went with a group of 6 and 5 of us had completed the Texas County Challenge. And I always looked at like the Northeast and I thought, oh, you've only got like 3 counties, 4 counties, 9 counties. So this is like, we'll fly through this like nothing. And then I realized I forgot to factor in the fact that for all your driving in Texas, Texas has the Lord's own speed limits. It's like, you don't know anything about speed until you've been on I-10 between Ozona and Fort Stockton, because there is nothing out there. I mean, nothing. And I think the speed limit is 80 or 85. But again, there's nothing. Right. So let's just say that is where I learned that the top speed of my old car was 117 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where I learned I start getting a little shaky at about 110.
Yeah. I've driven through Montana when they didn't have speed limits. The speed limit was safe and prudent.
Ha 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 ha. I can appreciate that.
I was doing 110 just to see how fast the car would go. And we got to the Idaho border and I pulled over and I said, okay, honey, it's your turn to drive because, 50 is just too slow.
After what I've just been doing,
yeah.
I'm going to get stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, I've driven a few of those roads like that. It's crazy. Those white lines on the road go by really quickly.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. All right. Well, while you've been caching all over Texas, and Delaware, and all points in between, I think you're also the creator and author of a blog called Geocaching While Black.
Yeah. Sometimes I find a little bit of time to write some stuff.
Yeah.
I've read a few articles just this week. It's some good stuff. We had a listener, by the way, that recommended we interview. So can you tell us a little bit about that blog? How'd you start writing it? Why'd you start writing it? Did that coincide, well, alongside geocaching as Geocaching While Black? So it makes sense, right?
Sort of. Basically, I started caching in June of 2018. I started the blog in August of 2018.
Okay.
As I've heard people talking about the Texas County Challenge, I'd been thinking to myself, well, I'd really like to kind of document that because, it'd be kind of cool, but, and I really didn't, think about, highlighting, race or anything like that at the time. But I ended up going on one of the geocaching forums, and I was reading an article. I was reading a forum post that somebody had made, and they had asked, how many times had you been, stopped by cops? And I was reading these, responses, and it's like, people were like, oh, I've been stopped once in 5 years, or I've been stopped twice in 7 years, or I've never been stopped in all the time I've been doing this. And I was thinking to myself, man, I've been doing this about 3 months and I've been stopped like 7 times. And that was just by cops. I wasn't counting security guards. I wasn't counting looky-loos who are like, oh, there's something suspicious going on over here. And so, it didn't take a lot for me to figure out that, being black is part of it. People see somebody doing something suspicious and, maybe they give them the benefit of the doubt, but people are going to give the benefit of the doubt more if somebody looks like them. It's, geocaching is a colorblind activity, but the world isn't. So as I was, thinking about this blog and, right. And I was talking with a friend of mine about it, and he's like, yeah, you should totally write about that stuff. I'm like, I don't want to make it a big deal. And he's like, it's like, yeah, you should totally tell people about this. It's like, what am I going to turn into this, like, some kind of geocaching while black? And then just like, ping, wait a minute. So I figure it this way. When somebody is writing about their experience, usually they're going to do, they're going to do it with a local slant.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to talk about their caching and they live in West Virginia, well, there's going to be a big focus on West Virginia caching because that's a big part of, who they are and what they're doing. Well, the fact that I'm black kind of blends into it a little bit. So, I'm not, spending every entry talking about, that, I'm black, y'all. I'm black, y'all, because I'm blacker than black, because I'm black, y'all. It's not like that. It's just like any other cacher. It just so happens that I happen to be black, and that does color the experience a little. So, yeah, you're getting it from my point of view.
And there's nothing wrong with that. What kind of response have you received from your blog? Have, people written in, commented?
Yeah. I would say it is probably 99% positive, because a lot of people, they're just like, oh, cool, caching stuff. And some people are like, wow, I never really thought about that being an issue. It's not something I ever experienced or that any of my friends experienced. Every now and then there's a jackhole who's like, oh, what are you talking about all this for? It's like, this has nothing to do with caching. You shouldn't be blah, blah, blah. And, like, whatever. You're always going to have a few grognards, no matter what. So, So that's how I ended up writing like 80 to 90,000 words a year. I mean, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say that I'm the best blog out there. I don't, I mean, personally, I'm pretty full of myself. So of course I think everything I write is the best out there. I don't think I'm necessarily the best out there, but I will say this. I am 99% sure I'm the most prolific writer out there. If you show me someone who has written more about geocaching than I have, if you find another person, if somebody can point out somebody who's written more than I have about caching, $50. I'm not even kidding. And it's like, and I'm not even, and I'll even kick it up a notch. I haven't looked at how much HQ has in their blog. They are probably the only people, they're probably the only blog that even comes close to what I've written. And I'm almost willing to bet that I've probably put in almost as much as they have, if not possibly more.
Well, everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Well, it's the funny thing is it's turned into this giant feedback loop. I write to cache and I cache to write.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as I am doing one, I am doing the other. And since the two kind of feed on one another, I keep caching and I keep writing. And when I say I keep caching, I'm not kidding. I'm on day I'm over 2,070 days in a row.
Wow.
Which, I mean, I'm not kidding. The first day I ever found a cache, the second day I ever found a cache, the third day I skipped for some reason. On the fourth day, I found a cache, and I have found or logged a cache every day since.
That's impressive. I have not done a long streak of finds, but I know that people have and have said it gets really old after a while and more difficult as time goes on.
The crazy thing is that doesn't even put me in contention for the longest streak in the state.
Wow.
Not by a long shot. Last year, a guy ended his streak. He was at 11 years and change.
That's impressive.
And that puts him in the top 5.
Everybody's after a blue shirt.
Caching is, I was going to say, Texas is a caching state.
Mm-hmm. It must be.
It totally is. It totally is. There's always something new going on. There are GeoArts out the yin yang. I don't know. I know that there are a lot of other places that have active caching communities, but I still have yet to run into one that is as active as Texas.
Nice. Okay. GSM times 2, who I think had quite a long streak. I'm not sure if he's still on it. I can't recall. He wants to know found or logged. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I will say it, logged.
Okay.
Because
very good.
There have been some times where it has not been safe to go out. I am not going to lie about that. Some people might even say, oh well, if you didn't find it every day, then it doesn't really count. No, I will be the first to say logged, because, like, for instance, some of you probably heard about the snowpocalypse a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, basically for about a week, Texas, well, about a week. For about a week, Texas basically didn't have power in the middle of the winter because of winter storms. And so there was snow and ice everywhere. And you know something? Out of 6 days where there was ice on the ground and, power was in and out, water was in and out, out of 6 of those days, I actually physically went out 2 of them and found caches. And you know something? Those other days, I logged challenges. And I am not shy about that. Because here's the thing. a streak is awesome, but killing yourself to maintain a streak is not awesome.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
going a bit too far for sure.
Yes. So, you know what? Now, that being said, the guy I just mentioned who did 11 years, he has a 4x4, and I think he's originally from somewhere in the north, like Indiana or something like that. So he actually did go out each of those days.
Mm-hmm.
So credit to him, because being from, because here's the thing, and I'll be the first to admit it. What we consider snow, ice, something that will shut a city down, you guys would laugh at us for. I'm not even kidding. We have nothing on that. We have nothing on anything like, north of, say, like, Dallas.
Right.
On the other hand, it goes the other way as well. When everybody else is like, crying because, it's 100 degrees, that's when we start making sun tea, because we're probably in our third or fourth week of 100-degree temperatures.
Right.
So, it kind of balances out. But yes, it is logged, not found. I am not shy about it. I certainly won't misrepresent anything about it, because I would rather survive.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to go back to that Texas County Challenge, because that thing still boggles my mind, and the way you guys celebrate it. I can just imagine you've had some, let's just say, memorable stories of all the caching in Texas counties. Can you share one of your most memorable experiences?
Okay. Strangely enough, there's this one that it actually. So there was this one county that I went to. It's Terrell County. And like I mentioned before, and the funny thing is, this is kind of, it isn't specifically about the cache. It kind of like is a side thing to it. But whenever I go to a new county, I go to the county courthouse. And I've done that for all 829 counties I officially claim. And so there was this one county, Terrell County, and I think it's Terrell. I butcher names in my own state. Trust me, I'm going to butcher names up there in the Northwest. So I go to the county seat, Sanderson. I go to the county courthouse. I take pictures of the courthouse and all that good stuff. And I run across this monument. It's like a stone plinth with an eagle at the top of it. And it has a little plaque on there that says, this eagle was as part of the original 1906 courthouse, disappeared in 1932, found, ransomed, and returned in 1999.
Oh,
There's
wow.
a story.
Yes, I'm standing there alone, and literally it's like, wait, what?
Ransomed.
Ransomed. Like, okay. So this is like, it just happened to be a weekday when I was there. So I'm like, okay, I go into the courthouse and I start asking around. And I started like, hey, what's this about that being ransomed? And, a lot of people I was going to, they're like, oh, well, I heard something about that, or I don't know a ton about that, or, and then finally someone, says, well, wait a minute. Sago was here back then. He'll know all about it. And so they take me to meet Sago. So here's the thing. Sago was short for Santiago. And Santiago, in this case, was a man named Santiago Flores, who was the judge of Terrell County. And for those of you who are not from Texas or Alabama, the county judge is the county executive. Basically the same way a mayor has, the city's mayor or the state's governor, well, the county judge. So they take me to meet this guy. And he's really nice and he's really friendly. And I ask him, it's like, what's with that being ransomed? And he tells me, well, I got this little paperwork that I got to take care of real quick. But I tell you what, you come back in about a half hour, I'll tell you all about it. I'm like, okay.
Sold.
Sold. So I run down the street and I grab a cache because that's actually what I came here for. You know, I would feel bad if I left Sanderson without one. I'd feel really stupid. You know, I get my cache, I sign it. As a side note, whoever hid it, they stuck it in like the thorniest freaking plant on the planet. And I mean, like, that thing had like, you know, 1.5 inch long thorns. It actually like tore into my gloves. It was like, you're kidding me here. But I get my cache, I sign it, I come back. And so the county judge takes me, he starts taking me on this tour of the courthouse. And the first thing he says to me basically, not everything I'm going to tell you is entirely factually correct, but everything I'm about to tell you is true.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm down for this. Let's see where this goes. And he turns out to be this amazing storyteller because he's taken me around the courthouse. He's like, you know, showing me things and telling me history. And he's introducing me to like everyone who works here who are like, these are like all the people who run the county and all this stuff, you know, full tour and everything. And at the same time, he's interweaving this story. So apparently, when the courthouse, the original 1906 courthouse was torn down in 1932, the eagle just sort of disappeared. And they assumed that some sort of workman or somebody had just kind of taken it because, hey, they're tearing this thing down.
Right.
Nobody's doing anything with it. What the heck? This looks kind of interesting. Whatever. And it disappeared. Somewhere in like the late 60s, early 70s, it cropped up again. And this particular resident, who was like the richest guy in town, basically, you know, he'd been living there all his life. He remembered the old courthouse, all that. He remembered the eagle, and he ended up buying it and, you know, getting his hand, or assumably he bought it. I'm assuming he didn't send out assassins to get it for him or anything. But he, you know, gets his hands on this thing and he loved it. He thought it was great. You know, he'd invite people over to see it. They'd have like, you know, him and all the grandees of the county, like, you know, hanging around, sipping scotch, smoking cigars around this thing. You know, did this for years. And so in the 90s, there was some sort of celebration that was, it was like some sort of like, you know, town anniversary that was coming up. And so some of these people thought, well, it would be really cool to return the eagle to the courthouse. And so they went to him and they asked him about it. It was like, you know, hey, would you be willing to return the eagle to the courthouse? You know, and he, at that point, he just started going, he's like, you know, I don't know what eagle you're talking about. And they're like, you know, the eagle. It's like, I don't have anything like that. You know, it's like, you know, that'd be possession of probably, you know, stolen goods or something like that. It's like, dude, I've literally smoked cigars with you around this thing. We know you have it. And he's just like, you know, well, I don't, you know, that's slander. And if I hear anything like that, I may have to contact my attorneys, you know. So they're like, okay, you know, they let it be. And over the next few years, they, you know, tried to offer him money for it and he wouldn't bite. And they, you know, offered to like, you know, like pass a couple of, you know, provisions and, you know, a couple of mini laws for that would kind of indirectly benefit him, and he wouldn't, you know, give it up. And they finally realized for whatever reason, there's no way he's going to part with this thing. So they decided to take a different route. They went to his son, the guy who was going to inherit everything anyway. And they asked him, hey, I guess when your old man's out of the picture, can we have it? And the son was like, yeah, I don't care. It's, you know, I don't know why he loves it so much, but I don't really care about it. So yeah, you guys can, have it. So they cut a side deal with the son. A few years later, they've got a different anniversary coming around. But the old man had gone into the hospital, and he was pretty old. I mean, he's pretty advanced. And so his son calls these guys from the hospital and tells them, "Hey, look, I'm like 98% sure that Dad's not coming out of here. And I know that you want that eagle for your special thing. So I tell you what, if someone was to break into the house and take the eagle, I would not press charges or anything like that." So this man, who would eventually become the county judge, and several of the other political grandees of the county went over to this guy's house, broke in, and stole the eagle and brought it back. And he tells me this story, and like I said, he's this great storyteller. I mean, for everything, the story, the pacing, everything. And we end right in front of an old photograph of the 1906 courthouse. And we're looking at this thing, and he says to me, "You strike me as a pretty smart guy, so you probably noticed that the eagle in the picture is bigger than the eagle out on the lawn." Some people might consider this some sort of crass marketing ploy to bring people to the county and interest them. But I prefer to think of it as bringing a piece of history and esprit de corps back. And I've seen The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. This is the West. When the legend becomes fact,
Yeah.
print the legend. Because I know which story they're going to be telling in 100 years.
Oh, that was a good story.
Now, here's the funny side note to that story. And it's really not funny. It was nerve-wracking. So anyway, he ends up having to leave because there's, he has, stuff to do. And, there had been a wreck on one of the roads and he had to work with emergency, blah, blah, blah. And he tells me, "Hey, don't take this route out of town." And I'm glad he did, because that was my original plan. I was going to take that route out of town. And so I start driving on a route that's, longer than I would have taken. Here's the thing. The last time I had filled up my car was back in El Paso, which means I had filled up my car about 350 miles ago. So I'm driving in these little canyons and draws and dips and whatnot. And, I'm like, oh, well, I'm running low on gas because I forgot. And I'd been through a couple of towns on the way here and I'd forgotten to get gas. I forgot to get gas in Sanderson. And so I'm like, I was like, okay, I'm running low on gas, but you know what? The indicator says that I have about 40 miles more gas than I need. So I should be fine. And then I'm going up and down these little draws and I notice, oh, wait a minute. I only have 30 miles more gas. I only have 20.
I've played this game.
Yeah.
I only have 10. I don't have enough. I have 0. I have exactly as much as I need. After a while, it's like I have less gas than I need. And it had been raining. So I can't actually keep any momentum on downhills because I don't want to fly off into a canyon.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, it's too late to go back to Sanderson. I hope I have enough gas. So I literally just white knuckle my way through it. I finally make it to I-10. I'm like, okay, I'm about 15 miles from this particular town that I know well. And I have no earthly idea how much gas I have left because it isn't even bothering telling me what the range is anymore. It's just like a dash. I'm like, okay, fine. I really don't have a choice. So I just keep going, white knuckling the entire way until finally I hit the town of Ozona. And I'm like, okay, well, I know on the other side of town there's a gas station, but I don't know if I have enough gas to make it.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm going to like get off on the close side and hope I can make it to a gas station. And I get off on that side and I literally sputter on fumes into a gas station and to the pump. I literally run out of gas at the pump.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, see, you don't want to save any extra. Just use right up to the point.
I'm mostly in agreement with that.
You gonna sing that for us, Chris?
No, you don't want to hear me sing. GSM ×2 wrote, and the county judge who held a grudge will search forevermore for the eagle on the run.
And the county judge who held a grudge will search forevermore for the eagle on the run in Sanderson.
Oh, okay. There you go. Nice ad.
County judge who held a grudge will search forevermore for the eagle on the run.
So yeah, Texas is a hoot.
Yes, it is. But here in Tacoma, I've pulled up to the gas station as the car stalls. Start it back up. It made it just to the pump and fill her up.
Oh no! Here's my Washington story.
Oh well, okay. Let's go ahead.
If we got time, I'll make it short. I promise.
You've done all the counties in Washington State.
I have.
Wow.
I have, and well. The craziest thing I think happened. I was traveling with someone, another cacher named Buckendye, and he had already done the northwestern counties. So what we decided was we were going to spend the night in Port Townsend anyway. So I took him down to the ferry at Copeland, and he crossed over to Port Townsend, and he basically spent the day with a buddy of his, and I did the basically, Friday Harbor and, all that stuff up there. And here's the thing for me, ferries are basically like, mid-level video game bosses because I'm usually like run and go. I'm going to cruise. And it's like, and when you got a ferry, I got to wait for this thing and go on its schedule. And and, and the only ferries I'd been on before were in Louisiana. And they were small ferries. They were like, little boats that could like, handle like about 40, 50 cars. Mm-hmm. They basically like, cross over a river and they like, and they do that like every like 15, 20 minutes, and the ones up there are like, huge. They're like, like I said, those things are like end bosses. And so the ferry over to Friday Harbor, that is literally an end boss for me. So I go across, I come back, I do the other stuff I got to do. I get back to the Coupeville ferry and one of the ferries broke down. So there's only one left.
It happens.
Oh yeah, it happens. And so they tell me, well, we don't even know if everybody who has a reservation is going to be able to make it across.
Right.
And, I didn't have a reservation because I had no earthly idea how long it's going to take me to get back here. Mm-hmm. And I knew that there was a ferry like, down the coast that went to Mukilteo. I'm sure I butchered that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that place. And but the lady told me that was backed up because everybody who was trying to cross at Copeland was trying to get. And so I'd been studying these routes for so long, and I just I realized, well, there's only one way left. I'm going to have to drive all the way around Puget Sound.
Yep. Yeah. Down to Olympia and back up.
Yep.
And well, it's about 250 miles, but with all the driving I've done in Texas, that's nothing to me at this point. So I'm like, okay. So
no problem.
I drive back down through Seattle, and drive down to Olympia, back up to Port Townsend, and that was stupid.
I've done that drive as well. There's times where I'm not going to take the ferry over, but
right,
it's a drive.
Yeah, so that I still think that is possibly the stupidest thing that has happened to me in a state that I've had to do. Is like, okay, I'm going to have to drive around an entire body of water to get where I'm going. Are you kidding me?
Not in Washington. There's a lot of bodies of water that separate, large metropolitan areas that you have to drive around or over or through.
And I'm dying I'm dying thinking one day I'm going to go to Michigan and be stuck in the same situation and have to drive around a Great Lake or some crap. It's like, are you kidding me?
No, that's right.
But, I'm prepared. I spent 12,000 miles driving around Texas preparing for just such an event.
Yeah, exactly. So you've done all the Texas counties. You've done the Washington counties. What state are you working on now?
Well, I just came back from the Northeast. At the end of last year, in September, October.
Okay.
So, I actually need to go back to Connecticut. I finished Connecticut, but I wasn't able to sign the Connecticut County Challenge because we ended up having to change our route at the kind of at the last minute because sunlight is a thing, and because of it, we ended up not going past it, and so that's sad. But it'll be I'll do that when I go back to Rhode Island at some point.
All 5 counties?
Yeah, all 5 of them. But I'll probably have to do them at 35 miles an hour.
Yeah. It'll still take you some time.
Which is that's what kills me. There are residential neighborhoods in Austin that have higher speed limits than that. That kills me. But there are several places that I really want to go back to complete. I've done half of Colorado, and I want to do the other half. I've done half of Arizona, and I kind of screwed up that trip. So I'm going to have to take a really, really long route to finish it. I've got 6 or 7 in Maryland. I really want to do Nebraska. I really want to do Nebraska because I've been writing, I've been compiling my writings and editing them. And right now I am actually editing my first book, which is about, my travels around Texas. And one of the things I did was I basically took the country and I chopped it up into smaller bits. So I can well, one of my books is going to be on this area. One of my books is going to be on this area.
Okay.
And so I've got my second done because it's going to be on Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. My third book will probably be, assuming I don't finish other stuff before this, but it'll probably be Kansas and Nebraska. I finished Kansas, but I have more than half of Nebraska. And quite honestly, I've done pretty much all of the populated part of Nebraska, which is this, maybe 2 counties sliver.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, the tragedy is that I know that having done Washington, it is probably going to be in my last book because my last book is going to have because basically Alaska is probably, that's my triple black diamond.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. And for those of you who don't, everybody, who skis, what a double black diamond is. Mm-hmm. Well, a triple black diamond is basically a double black diamond with concertina wire and machine gun nests. If you've seen it in a Bond film, it's probably a triple black diamond. And basically Hawaii and Alaska are my 2 triple black diamonds. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish Hawaii before I finish Alaska.
I'm not sure there are roads connecting all the counties in Alaska.
No, there aren't.
Yeah.
As far as I can
you
tell,
have to fly into a couple.
Yeah.
like Anchorage connects to like 6 other county seats by road.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much all the rest of them are going to be plane or ferry or who knows, because
Dog sled.
Yeah. Dog sled.
Yeah, that ain't happening. I am. If dog sled is the way to get to the center of that county, that borough, no, that ain't happening. I am not that guy. But the other thing is, I also want to do the census areas there too, and they're even more remote, and they don't even have seats. So basically, I'm gonna have to figure out: do I want to go to the largest populated settlement?
Right.
How do I want to do that? But I've got time to work on that because I'm not going there this week.
Wet Coaster says you might have to drive into the Yukon and back out for some.
I am hoping that I can find some sort of deranged millionaire who wants to bankroll my adventures, and then find a pilot that I can grab for I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks or however long, and have him fly me from place to place to place.
He would also be deranged.
Maybe.
I can help you with the deranged part.
Maybe.
But that's about it.
It's
not the millionaire, not the pilot part.
No. I mean, making $1 million is easy. All you have to do is start with $2 million.
Yeah.
And I can help you out after that.
Yeah. I could totally make 100 million by starting out with $1 billion. Trust me on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm pretty sure Alaska is going to be the last place I finish, which means that the entire Pacific Northwest and Alaska and all that together are probably going to be my last book, which makes me sad. But blame Alaska.
There you go. It's Alaska's fault. It's the Russians' fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything goes back to Russia.
Exactly. Marcellus, it has been a pleasure talking with you.
Aw, you're going to make me blush.
Yeah. If people wanted to get a hold of you, how can they reach out to you?
Well, I mean, Geocaching While Black has a contact section, so you can always get to me through there. Whether it's comments or, messages or even, direct feedback. You can reach me through the TXGA, the Texas Geocaching Association. That is also an option. If you want to speak to me directly, of course, marcellus.cat@gmail.com, because, who doesn't have their name as a Gmail account?
Exactly.
And then, of course, I sometimes respond to Smoke Signal, and in very rare cases, dye print, where you use different shades of dye on fabric or perhaps paper to make a message that looks like a picture but isn't entirely. It's kind of like steganography for the 16th century.
Okay. I don't think
I just made that last one up, so don't really do that.
No, bummer. Okay.
I was excited about that one.
I was going to go skywriting, but you didn't give that as an option, so you're not getting it.
There are only 6 professional skywriters in the United States, so that would be hard.
How do you know that?
I literally read about this today. Apparently, there are only 6 professional skywriters in the United States.
Huh. Things you learn. And there are more airplanes at the bottom of the ocean than there are submarines in the sky.
True dat, yo.
All right. Well, with that, listeners, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Yes, I want to take a moment to thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism. They're our corporate Denali level sponsors. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Go check them out online, won't you? And remember, they ship online orders daily. And of course, for amazing geocaching adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com. We also want to thank the rest of our faithful Denali level supporters. That's Land Sharks, Gold Country Geotourism, Groovy Owl, Cool Cow Cachers, and Cachely, the geocaching app. If you want to know more about supporting the show, click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website.
Ooh, and while I'm at it,
Yes.
may I give a quick shout out to your supporter and my friend Weedby Island Gal.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And geocaches.
Yeah. Genies.
Ari 54321.
Boomer 365.
That was a countdown to the boomer. I like that one.
Yeah.
Flagman.
New patron Butterfly Girl.
B Pendragon.
Green Words.
Kitty Quest.
GeoNav Pro.
Wet Coaster.
Terexer.
J-Car.
MC3 Cats.
And Teus.
Subway Mark.
Peach of Washington.
Mnerv.
Just finding our way.
Segehov.
Gas Station Tuna.
LG 9000.
Hey, how about Whidbey Island Gal?
Yeah. I know a friend of hers.
Yeah.
How about GSM times 2 active in the chat as always?
And Limax.
Alarobrick.
I lost where I was. Team Noltex.
Ackerdoc.
You, Dak.
CRS 98.
A new one, GeoBirder.
And another new one, Railroad.
Mountain Bike.
Nervous Energies.
Kid Vegas 19.
Just Carlo.
The Camp Clan.
You Talks to Rocks.
Winos Seattle.
Seebeck Tribe.
Logwork.
Sky Hawker.
Jev MacD.
Doramore.
BC Rockcrawler.
And Corscott.
Whew. Folks,
That's
thank
just
you.
getting long. That's great.
It is, isn't it? Can you believe we got 3 new patrons this week? That's amazing.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Folks, thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website like those 3 new patrons did. If you didn't like the show, let us know what you want us to talk about. Or even if you like the show, let us know what you want to talk about, because we interviewed Marcellus here because somebody asked.
Somebody was crazy enough to ask for that.
I know. Can you believe it?
I know.
If you like the vibe, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast and leave us a review. It's your chance to win prizes.
A review or 2.
Oh, there you go. If you were at a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. And of course, you can call into 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or drive us around Texas any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. This show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, Jake Kennedy, and Brian Lang. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2024 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The After Show.
Whew, let's take a breath.
No kidding.
I
Breathe,
think-
man. Breathe.
I think we got a couple of fatasses here. First one is from Nervous Energies. He says he took the day off from work for Leap Day, heading to Sumas, Abbotsford for a couple of events and knocking off some virtuals. I heard some people talking at the CITO. They're going to start Leap Day at like 4 a.m. to start hitting events, and they're not
Wow.
going to be done till the afternoon. I asked this in the wrong way because here Seaback Tribe says, who has plans for Leap Day?
I'm lucky because someone is actually having putting on a Leap Day mega here in nearby. Like the county just north of Texas. It's on Williamson County. It's in Round Rock, which is just north of Austin.
Seaback Tribe, I think, is going to that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be there, so
There you go. And Kitty Quest says we should have you back on so we can hear more stories.
I tell you what, I've told this. I'm not going to tell this story now, but if I come back, I will tell you guys about the time I was held by Mexican authorities in Nuevo Leon.
Fair enough.
That's a promise. One more FATAS from Keats says a new episode of the YouTube channel goes live at 5 a.m. on Saturday. He's getting up early too, isn't he? Jump back onto the weekly episode bandwagon.
Way to go.
For Keats 94's Geocaching Adventures. And folks, thank you so much for joining us. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.